Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 147 of our BU 365-day challenge to do one thing every day that improves us. Today we're talking about your and my financial lifeline. It's kind of like a timeline for the financial areas and aspects of our life. We're going to talk about it specifically. We've done it every month so far. We did physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and this month we're doing financial. And then for the next 4 months, we're going to continue to add to our personal timeline, the different areas and aspects of our life. Because what we want to do is we want to first fill the timeline. So I always start, and that's because this has been one of the most powerful exercises I've ever done. It's why we're going to do it every single month. Is I want to make sure that you, if it works for you, can capitalize on this exercise too. It helps me personally to see relationships between different events and different milestones in my life, and how I've either responded or not responded, how I've procrastinated or how I've taken action. It helps me to get to know myself better in terms of how certain things will trigger me, or both in a positive and negative way, right? We have all kinds of triggers in each and every one of us. Some are good, some are bad. And most of them are just neutral. They just keep us moving through our life in the same steady pace and direction. But whenever we want to change something, if we understand ourselves better, it's easier to say, oh yeah, that's not working for me anymore. What else is possible? What else could I do? So one of my favorite exercises is our Lifeline. It's like a timeline from history class. Remember in school when we learned timelines, and there'd be a timeline, there'd be a date or maybe a century we were studying in history, and our teacher would map out events in the order that they happened. Well, we're doing the same thing with the financial areas and aspects of our life, because whose financial timeline is more important than our own? No one's. So what I like to do is, and I use this one because it's small, I actually switched to one of those 3-section project boards to do my Lifeline this year, so I could have room to do each of the different areas and aspects of my life on the same board so I can see what it looks like. But I use this one because it's small enough to actually hold up and demonstrate. So I just put the year I was born. Yes, I was born in 1960. And then I put an arrow continuing after 2022, because I don't plan to check out this year. I don't know about you, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to continue my timeline on beyond 2022. But then what I do is I've gone through and I've put different highlights in my life, different events. You know, you're born becomes the beginning of your timeline or your lifeline. And then when we expire, that would be the end of our personal lifeline, right? None of us know when that date's going to be. I do know that in 2010, I did expire. So a lot of my different areas and aspects of my life, my health, for example, went below the line when I had a sudden cardiac arrest. Now I came back, so it bleeped back up above the line after about a week or so. But for a while, I checked out. I don't recommend that, by the way. So what we want to do is we want to just draw out on a piece of paper, just today, even if you just sketch it out on a napkin or a paper towel, just start thinking about, as you go about your day, what are the key financial times in your life? What are the times that you've done really, really well? What are the times that you've really, really struggled? When things like, you know, your first job, maybe your first job interview changed some perspective or changed something for you. But your first job, your first paycheck, maybe your different jobs. I've got my different professions and different jobs and different businesses on my financial timeline because they all had an impact on my personal level of income, how much money and how many resources I were bringing into my life. Maybe different types of investments. Maybe you got a financial account the first time you paid taxes. That affects our lifeline and our financial lifeline. Job loss, fired, promotions, big events, big life events such as getting married, getting divorced, having kids. All of these things impact our financial health and our financial well-being. So we want to have those events on our timeline. And then we get to decide how high or how low we put the dots on our timeline, right? So we put the events along the bottom, and then I have up here this green line on mine, and it worked out better when I did the bigger board. That represents ideally what I want in any area or aspect of my life. That represents the ultimate perfection fantasy of whatever it is that I want for whatever area we're talking about in our life, right? This one's financial. So what is my absolute positive ultimate financial goal? That's what this green line would be. And I compare everything else to that. Now, we all start out at 0, right? Unless you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. We talked about that yesterday or the day before, I think, for Supersize Your Business. But unless you were born in the 1% of super duper wealthy, which, 99% of us were not, we usually don't start out with trust funds or a bunch of resources. So whatever your situation is, maybe you did start out with a savings account or a trust fund or a college fund that your parents set up for you. We're all different. So just map out the highlights, and then again, the higher lows. And if you've done all of the other ones on the same board, like I'm doing for my big board, you start to see relationships. You start to really clearly see relationships between your mindset, your emotions, your finances, your physical well-being and health, as well as your spiritual well-being and health. And so that's the whole purpose of this Lifeline exercise, is to map out your life. Because again, nothing is more important to you than your life experiences, getting to know yourself better, and then using that information to make more conscious choices about how you do want to respond or react to things, the directions you want to take, the choices you want to make going forward in your life. Question: would anyone like to see me do, for free of course, a workshop on this Lifeline exercise? Go more in depth on how I actually do it and have used it in my life and my experiences to make improvements and to get to know myself better. If you'd be interested in that, just direct message me or share in the comments below, and we'll set up a time to do that. We're about halfway through, not quite halfway, but almost halfway through the challenge, halfway through the different areas and aspects of our life. So it's a good point to stop and say, okay, let's go into some more detail on this and really understand how we can apply it to our life. If you'd be interested in that, let me know. Otherwise, today's action item, do the financial lifeline. Do your financial lifeline. Like I said, if you've got a board and you're doing them all on one or a notebook, awesome. If not, just sketch it out on a napkin or something, because you'll be surprised at how quickly and easily you start to get to know yourself better and see relationships and see things that can really impact the results that you want to get, what you want to create in the world. All right, that's all I have today. Any questions, please ask. Let me know about the workshop, yes or no, and I'll be with you tomorrow. Have an awesome day.